Hello my friends, welcome back to Summit, and as we get started with this fourth week of Lent, we got some really great readings this week. One in particular that I think is just spot on for where we are in our day and age. I do want to just start by acknowledging a real big reality in our world, that our world has changed since last week. Since the last time we talked on the third Sunday of Lent, things are different. And the reality of where we are with coronavirus or COVID-19 has changed what Mass looks like this week and changed what life looks like this week for a lot of us. So I know for many of you, your school's probably closed. Like you are on this indefinite spring break for a while to practice social distancing to help slow the spread of this virus, which can be very harmful to different populations of people, and in an effort to control that and slow that and make sure our healthcare system doesn't get overwhelmed, you're not in school right now. So hopefully you're not too bored this week, but hopefully you're enjoying Summit and you're joining in with us. I also know that for some of you, and this was maybe the case last week, but it may be the case for more of you this week, Mass is not necessarily going to be something that happens for you. That every week we talk about, you listen to readings at Mass, but that for some of you this week you will not be going to Mass by just a decision made in your local area, by your parish, or by your diocese. And I think that there's a challenge in that because as Catholics, the Eucharist is the source and summit of our week. And to be parting from that, man, that can be really tough, right? I think that there's a couple things that we can do if we're feeling that sting. And one is to recognize that this Lent, there's a place that we can lean into that. That if you've been given a dispensation or your bishop has chosen to not have Masses, that you do not have an obligation to attend a Sunday Mass. And even if you are in an area where Masses have not been postponed or are not being held publicly, that if you're feeling ill, you automatically have a dispensation from your Sunday obligation. And I'm trying to be really mindful about my language too, because I do offer this bit of encouragement. Masses are not canceled. Masses are just not being held publicly. The priests in your diocese, the bishop in your diocese, the priest at your parish, they're still celebrating Mass and they're celebrating on behalf of you. In fact, I would be willing to bet that most of the priests this week, when they celebrate Masses privately, will be offering up the intention of that Mass for you and for me. I think that's a really beautiful thing we have to acknowledge. So I'm trying to be careful not to say, oh, Masses are canceled. They're not canceled. Mass doesn't get canceled. They're just not being held publicly in the interest of slowing the spread of disease. And that's a really big decision that people are making, but it can hurt. And like in Lent, we're like, man, I didn't realize I was going to give up Mass for Lent. Let this ignite the longing that we all ought to have for the Eucharist constantly. Let it unite us to places where people are persecuted for going to Mass and where Masses don't happen frequently. Make this a time to recognize that, hey, let's be honest with ourselves. We maybe take Mass for granted a little bit. We can also use this as a time to dive into God's Word a little bit more intentionally. 3 challenges before we get into the awesome scriptures this week. 1, if you find yourself in a position where you're not going to be at Mass, make Sunday a Sabbath, a day of rest. Don't schedule plans. Get your homework done ahead of time. Maybe be more intentional than you ever have been on a Sunday to make Sunday a day of worship and a day of rest so it's not unlike any other day. Because if you're not going to Mass, it can be really easy just to make Sunday just another Saturday. That's not who we are as a Christian Catholic people. So make it a day of rest, a day of worship. Set aside time to read the readings. If you're with your family, read the readings with your family. Reflect on them, pray on them. In the spot where normally you'd hear a homily from a priest or a deacon, maybe use that time to journal and reflect about what the readings are speaking to you. Spend some extra time here in God's Word this week. Be edified on it. Be fulfilled by it. Let that be your daily bread. Let it be what will sustain us in this time where maybe you're not going to be at Mass. And then I really want to encourage you to spend time with your family on Sunday, to not make it a day where everybody's sort of doing chores and going their separate ways, but to make Sunday an intentional family day where you pray together, you read the readings for Mass together, and you honor the Lord in that way. So all of that said, let's dive in. One reading I want to focus on, but here's the overview of the whole arc. First reading, Book of Samuel, King David's selection. Love King David's anointing because it shows us that God doesn't think like we think. God doesn't choose the obvious choice. God makes the right choice. And he does that by choosing King David, not the apparent choice for king, but the right choice for king. Echoed in the gospel reading from John, this blind man who everybody thinks did something to deserve it. Did his parents sin? Did he sin? What did he essentially do to become blind and wind up on the low rung of the social ladder? Jesus goes to him, cures his blindness. People are amazed, but also upset because God doesn't always work the way we think God works. And Jesus actually heals this man on the Sabbath. And the real issue that people have is almost legalistic. They're concerned that Jesus made clay on the Sabbath, which is an interesting rabbit hole we could go down, but it says the same thing. God doesn't always work the way we think God works. God doesn't conform to these legalities and these rules that we sometimes set up to try to keep God within. God does something bigger than that. Now, of course, there are guidelines that we follow as Christians, and St. Paul talks about that in his letter to the Ephesians this week, that we need to not do things in darkness that we are not prepared to have come to light. That if we are virtuous in moments that nobody sees, that eventually people will know we're virtuous all the way around. And if we're sinful in quiet moments that nobody sees, eventually those things come to light as well. Even if people don't ever find out the specific actions, those things still influence our attitude, and we bear fruit in that regardless of whether or not people find out the specific thing. So be people of virtue. All right, now here's the reading I really want to get to. If you go to Mass this week, it's the Psalm, it's the one we sing. So you got to pay special attention because at least for me, I know I zone out during the Psalm. And if you are going to be reading these readings at home, spend a little bit extra time with this one because this is Psalm 23, famous Psalm, the antiphon, the part we repeat. The Lord is my shepherd, there's nothing I shall want. You've probably heard that before or seen it on a nice little knick-knack poster in your grandmother's house. Here's the part that I love this week. He guides me in right paths for his namesake. Even though I walk in the dark valley, I fear no evil, for you are at my side with your rod and your staff that give me courage. Love this reading for this time in history because right now, it's a place where a lot of us are feeling anxious and maybe feeling a little bit afraid. We're in an unprecedented moment in human history where we are closing borders to countries and we're quarantining different areas and people are shutting down restaurants and events and you're not in school because that's been canceled for the foreseeable future, and we're in this place where we're practicing social distancing, which is good because it can help slow the spread of disease but can also feel kind of isolating. It's a time that it's very easy to be afraid. And I think just, again, the feeling of fear, it's a natural thing. It's a human thing. But then to have courage in the midst of fear comes from Jesus. And that's why I love this part of Psalm 23 for us. I walk in the dark valley, but I fear no evil, for you are at my side. Here's a couple things about darkness and valleys. Darkness gives way to light, and valleys ascend into mountains. So even in this moment in history where things maybe seem like, wow, this is challenging, know that darkness gives way to light and valleys give way to mountains. And we're persistent in walking through darkness and walking towards those mountains, doing what we need to do, knowing that Jesus is at our side. That doesn't just apply to our current world situation, but maybe to your personal situation. Maybe you find yourself in another area of darkness or another valley, and you're like, how am I ever going to get out of this? And that's when we look over to Jesus, who has this guiding presence, his rod and your staff. It gives me comfort because I know that you protect me, I know that you guide me, and I know that you're walking alongside with me, that we don't walk in darkness alone, but we walk with the one who is light, and we don't stay in the valley forever, but we walk with the one who ascends to the highest heights and promises to take us with him. There's great encouragement in the readings this week, but in particular, the Psalm. So I challenge you to lean in, maybe pray a little bit extra with that particular passage this week, because I think it's critical. And for wherever you are and whatever life looks like, I just want to challenge you to not make this a time where our faith gets put on the back burner, our faith gets postponed, but to make it a time that we lean in even more ardently and are more aware of the longing we have for Jesus and the longing we have for others and our desire to treat and do well by our brother and our sister. If you're looking for ways to stay connected because your youth group maybe has been canceled or ministry's been canceled, these summit videos are a great way to do that. You can join us for Lectio Live, another great way to dive into the scriptures every single week on our YouTube channel. And there's going to be lots of other things that we'll be putting out on our social media channels for Life Team as well, just to keep you connected during this time. It can be a moment, yes, of fear and anxiety, and that's understandable, but also a time that we recommit who we are as Christians and Catholics and the hope we have in Jesus Christ, who walks with us through every moment of darkness and every valley. That's fourth Sunday of Lent, my brothers and sisters. I am praying for you. Let me know how your Lent is going in the comments below. Let me know how you're feeling about these readings, or if there was something else that stood out to you from the readings this week. I would love to hear it. And I will see you back here next week as our world continues to grow. And we trust in Jesus Christ through all the developments and whatever this next week will bring. And we join each other again for the fifth Sunday of Lent. God bless, my friends. I'll see you next week.